Frank Ranks week number 38. We have 6 comics to talk about. We got DC, we got Independence, we got no Marvel, but let's find out how good DC did this week right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca, an award-winning screenwriter, a novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about these 6 comics, and we are going to start off right off the bat because we got no Marvel, but we had a big week for DC. So it's a mixture of DC and Independence this week. All right, so let's talk about number 6, and that is DC. Starting us off, since we have no Marvel, we got to hit the bottom of the barrel with DC. Now, I got to say one thing. All of these books, I did not dislike any of them. So I'm just really rating them based on my little level of enjoyment. And number 6 is JSA by Jeff Lemire. This is the very drawn-out story of the Injustice Society. He went all 12 issues. Lord knows why. I have no idea why he dragged this story out for a whole 12 issues. So you have to tell a story in a year. Basically, this, just so you know, since I take screenplays and I adapt them, a normal movie, you can tell an entire movie in 6 issues. Just saying. So with this, he took 12. So this is 2 feature-length films together. 2. Why? Why do you need to have 2 movies to be able to tell one story? It makes no sense. But all these writers are like, you see this stick of gum? I'm going to see how far I can pull it before it snaps. Oh, you're down the block? That's how long my story is going to be. Yeah, but nobody's even going to remember what happened in issue 1 between issue 1 and issue 12. Doesn't matter. They don't have to remember. When we have 3 trades together to tell one story, that's what's important. I don't... Somebody explain to me the logic. Because even if you buy one trade, it doesn't even tell the whole story. So you have to buy a compendium to tell one story? It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense logically. It doesn't make any sense marketing. It doesn't make any sense business-wise. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But either way, he ended up finally finishing it at issue 12. The ending is so rushed. He took 12 issues and then, oh, we got to finish this up. Okay, battle, it's over. One battle, it's all over. What? So, I do not, unfortunately, I don't recommend this. I'm this close to dropping it because he pissed me off, and I'm afraid that he's going to take another 12 issues to tell another story. So if this goes beyond 6, I'm dropping it. So he's got 6 issues to prove himself that he can control whatever urge this is. So, and then on top of that, this has way too many characters. That's the other problem, is that he couldn't tell whether he wanted to use the old JSA or the new JSA. And when I say the new ones, if you ever watch Stargirl on the CW, that's basically the new JSA. He's basically using, you can see Wildcat, the female Wildcat here. So he didn't know what he wanted to use, so he just used everything. He's like, all right, well, the old guys are in this limbo. They're trying to get out. The new guys are trying to find them, and that was the entire thing through at least 6 or 7 issues. And then finally, then he introduced another new character called Kid Eternity. So this is so convoluted and diluted that it's crazy. Now, there is obviously things I liked, or else I wouldn't have stayed with it for 12. I'm a big fan of Jade. So Jade is one of the major characters in here, and I don't get to see her at all. So And I like the new JSA, and that's what he should stick with. I'm not a fan of the new Dr. Fate that wears gold sneakers. They can keep that. But anyway, so they need to dwindle it down to like 5 or 6 characters, and that's it. Make it like a Teen Titans type of book, and that's it. But anyway, so I'm gonna start out, 2 or 3 issues on the next story, and then I will gauge it from there. But this was a letdown for sure. All right, going on to number 5, and this is an independent from an independent company I've never even heard of, called Thunder Comics. But since I did write my own fairy tale book, I decided to pick this up. It's called Never Wars, which is a great title, I think. And the problem is, again, the same as Jeff Lemire, he doesn't know which characters to use, so he just uses them all. Which is what I stayed away from. Because how can you have the reader identify with the character where you're doing enough character development if you're just using everything? You can't latch on to something, and if you can't latch on to what the characters are doing, then you forget what they did from one issue to the next, especially with an independent, when you know this is not coming out every month. They'll be lucky to come out every 2 months. So I picked it up. The artwork is not great. But it starts out with the flying monkeys and with the Wicked Witch and stuff like that. And then, so we do have, I don't remember seeing Dorothy in here, but we definitely had the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion, and there was a reveal of the Tin Man by the end. He also has, and I don't know what it is with people chopping off Peter Pan's hand to give him the hook, but this is like the second time I've seen it now where Peter Pan has a hook. It doesn't work, man. That does not work. But anyway, he's on board of the Jolly Roger with Captain Hook, and he's like, "Oh, we're friends," and Captain Hook's like, "No, we're not friends. We're not friends." And then we had this other, we had the Jabberwock also fighting. I thought that was kind of cool. And they're questioning, the Scarecrow was up on, a pole, and they whatever creature this was, it was like a green creature. I think that maybe was the Jabberwock. I think it was, but it had like a human face, but it was green. So that, I wish he had taken more of the dragon type of look. But anyway, he says, he asked a question, and he refused to answer, so he lit a match. I thought that was kind of cool. And he lights him on fire anyway, but the Cowardly Lion comes in and puts him out. And then they end up finding the Tin Man, but he's got like a spear through, there's like a hole cut out in the shape of a heart. And he's got like a spear through him. So overall, I try to not make the Cowardly Lion like walk on all fours like a human. I try to make him, still, very lion-like. But that's how it is here. He's more of a humanoid type of a lion. But I thought that this was a decent. I'm picking up at 4 too, so I'm, trying to get into a storyline that I have no idea what the hell's going on. So that was that too. And I think that the Mad Hatter is in here. Thinks to that effect as well. So it's I thought it was interesting. So it's not bad. Just the artwork is only so. But this is, I didn't dislike JSA. I'm just pissed off at it. That's all. All right, let's go on to number 4, and that is Blade Runner by Titan Comics. I'm a big fan of the Blade Runner IP. And I tried to buy the rights at one time, but they weren't selling it, to do a comic, but they weren't selling it. My problem with the Blade Runner series, so I was okay with some of it, like in the beginning where they actually had a Blade Runner, and where it was like Decker, it was like a female Decker. Some of that stuff was okay, but it just kind of they didn't know where to go with it, so the ending was kind of disappointing, and I really haven't picked it up really since. And they keep, throwing out like miniseries. So this is another miniseries called Black Lotus, because there was another Black Lotus before this. So it's Blade Runner, Black Lotus, Las Vegas. So it's got 3 titles. 3 titles. So anyway, Black Lotus is like, I'm not sure if she's an Asian, but she carries around a katana and stuff like that. So there's been a war or whatever, so it's like an apocalyptic situation, but Las Vegas is nothing but sand at this point. But all of the replicants that were working in Las Vegas at the time have basically taken over Las Vegas. That's interesting. I like that. So the first issue of this was it was really introduced to the Blade Runners that are more like a militant force than cops. Like that's what made the original Blade Runner what it was that it was a noir cop type of situation. Where here it's like a militant force that have machine guns and stuff like that. I don't think it works as well. Where it's just like one guy hunting down another guy. That's way more interesting than a military force. But anyway, the last issue is more the introduction to the military force of like this company putting everybody together. Where with this one, it's more about the world building of Las Vegas, where all of these replicants are coming together, and they're all different, right? Because you have Cleopatra, you have Nefertiti, which are from, the hotel that's shaped like a pyramid, so they're kind of going off that. And then they have Caesar and Nero, and they all have all the guys from Rome, and they have their own little pack. And when Black Lotus shows up, I forgot her name, then they're like, are you one of us? And they were able to tell that she was a replicant. And, they're showing her around, so we had this world building, and then the military guys show up, and they get taken out. They get taken out. Only the 2 girls remained by the end, which I don't know. I don't agree with, only the girls can survive. It was weird. It was weird that the only 2 girls are the ones that survived. And then the main one who had her back broken and she was repaired. She has like some kind of a thing now where put her spine back together, like a cybernetic. And she's down prone by the end in front of all of the Roman guys who basically knocked her out. Good stuff, actually. I like that. I like the idea of it. Anyway, let's see if they can stick the landing at all. Anyway, let's get on to number 3. Before we do, remember to give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. If you can, ring that bell ding ding. It'd be greatly appreciated. And share this video out there so people know what kind of comics are out this week, since it was a pretty decent week. And yeah, people that aren't collecting, normies, all that stuff, it's really important that I think that the hobby of collecting comics survives through these hard times. Also remember, too, that I'm a writer myself, so if you'd like to check anything that I've written, you can go to Amazon.com and just type my name in, or there's a link in the description below. You'll see my 4-novel quadrilogy, my epic sci-fi adventure. So if you're a fan of Star Trek, Star Wars, games, Guardians of the Galaxy, all that stuff, then you're really going to like Destiny Aurora. It was also made into a board game, an RPG, and a graphic novel. It's also on Audible, so if you don't want to read it, you can listen to it. And I have a male and female voice, so it's not just one voice throughout. Lots of fun. Also, I am a writer of fantasy. I have a YA fantasy called Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. So if you like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragon, all that stuff, then you'll definitely like this, because we have magic, we have dragons, we have griffins, we have all bunch of stuff, and a whole world building in there as well. Also, my new comic, which is called Fairy Tales of Terror, hence why I wanted to do this. We did very well on Kickstarter. We did 11,500. I just opened up late pledge, so if you did miss it, now is the time. We have Psycho Cinderella. We have Killer Captain Hook, and they're in our world, and they're being hunted Blade Runner style by Neverland's Tiger Lily. And so, see, I only have a very limited amount of characters. It's not all of the characters from everything, and it's lots of fun, and you definitely check it out. You can go to fairytalesofterror.com, or there's a link in the description below. All right, so let's jump on to the number 3, and I have like mixed feelings about this one. I know a lot of people really liked it, and that is DCKO number 1. This is by Scott Snyder, and this is the launching of the DCKO event. Now, this is the best start off of an event that I've seen in a long time, but it was still extremely complicated. There's way too many characters in here. There's way too many plot lines going on. But I know that's how you have to start an event, but it's really wide. I think the better way to start an event is to start out with a smaller group that then builds up, rather than a big group that then dwindles down. But that's what we're starting off here, because there is a bracket, because we are going to have people fighting one another for the dark side energy that is at the center of the earth. So this is like they're trying to figure out a way to take the absolute universe, which is caused by dark side energy, and then meld them into the regular world or Earth. So they're trying to take these two separate universes and kind of stick them together under this. And it starts out very strange because they're playing a board game with themselves. Like Superman is controlling, like Clark is controlling a Superman character on the board, and Batman, I think it's like a board game that he did or whatever else that Bruce did. I don't know. It was weird. But anyway, so Lois was there and Wonder Woman was there, and they see outside that there's a huge dark side knocking the place apart. So they go and attack. And then they find out that there's dark side energy that's in the center of the earth, that they need to get that power to be able to fight him. So, but the only way to do that is to have a tournament. Figure that out. And whoever wins this tournament will be chosen almost like a Green Lantern ring by that dark side energy. But then you find out that dark side is actually one of them. So, which actually destroys the bracket because dark side is automatically going to win. I don't know how that's going to work. Batman gets killed in this, but obviously he's not going to probably stay dead. But he does get killed by the end of the issue by the villains who have now broken out. So now we have villains integrated, which we already knew that the villains were integrated into this. But anyway, they're broken out. So they were originally all, incarcerated, but not anymore. But anyway, my only problem with it is that it's just too much. It's just too much going on. Okay, going on to number 2. And that is DC. And that is, I'm a week behind on this, but this is Superman, number 30. This is the end of the storyline and this is kind of falls into the DCKO, because this is about the dark side energy that has corrupted the Legion. So there's a dark side Legion. And Superman goes to see them, and they end up attacking him. Brewster Gold is the middle of the whole thing. And then he goes to see Superboy Prime. Superman Prime turns on him and says, hey, we need to team up, blah, blah, blah. And it's like prophesized that Superboy Prime can do something that Superman can't. And as they're fighting Superman, about to kill him, with Superboy Prime's help, he then turns again against the Legion and ends up fighting them. And he said, this is the one thing that you can't do, was to trick them into thinking that you were bad, because you would never go bad. But me, I can. And then this is my problem with it. Right after betraying them, he then says, "Okay, let's go," and they all follow him. Why would you follow somebody that just turned on you? But anyway, Superman and Booster Gold are able to get out of there at the last minute. And yeah, overall it was pretty good. And it didn't last 12 issues. It was like 3 issues, in and out. Good, done. So, good stuff. And then I'm going to go to number 1. Number 1 is DC again. So, DC had a good week this week. We were in the top 3 all DC books. And it's about time. Because Marvel can't get their heads out of their ass. So, let's do some DC. And this is Batman and Robin, number 26, continuing the Quiet Man storyline. I was so over the Memento thing because he did exactly the same thing. So this is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and he has the same problem. His Memento storyline dragged out so long that I was literally I'm like, if you don't stop this storyline by next issue, I'm out. I am out. And again, even the last issue was disappointing. So they pretty much had the same problem as Jeff Lemire with JSA and this. So I'm really hoping that he learned his lesson, because I knew a lot of people that were dropping off this because nobody even gave a shit by the time of the Memento thing was done. And the end of it was so disappointing. So if he keeps going on and on and on with this, going on to 12 issues with it, I'm jumping off. But right now, this is the best written Batman book that's out there. I know a lot of people say that Dark Patterns is really good. I'm not collecting that one, though. But this is definitely better than the Matt Fraction one, for sure. And I liked a lot of the stuff in here. So we have this Quiet Man thing that he wants revenge against, I guess, the mob villains, which is, in this case, Penguin and Two-Face. I love the way that Penguin is portrayed in here. Portrayed. And we have a combination because he now links with Two-Face, and then he's confronted, both of them are confronted by this guy who leaves silver dollars on the people that he kills on their eyes. And they investigate, so Batman and Robin investigate these things, so he does some detective work on it, and finds out that they are very, very old, and they're worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars each. So it's definitely something, but it's definitely a revenge story, I think, for his child. But anyway, he has like, all these things that he's just leaving on people's eyes, which I think is kind of cool. Which I think was also used in The Conjuring. I think it was the boatman or whatever else that had they put the silver dollars on the eyes, which is creepy. But also we have Robin was training, while he was doing that, he was training and throwing batarangs into mannequins that had hostages. So he ends up accidentally hitting the hostage. And Batman looks down at the head that has rolled off the mannequin of the hostage, and he says, "Oh yeah, she was looking kind of shady." So I thought that was pretty funny. And then the kids that helped him in the last one end up showing up and saying, "Hey, I thought you were going to train us," and blah blah blah. But he's on a stakeout. Now, why hasn't Batman given these homeless kids any money? That's bothering me. Yes, they can still come out and run around, but he should at least give them some kind of a home. I mean, he knows that they're homeless, and he's not helping them. I find that really hard to believe for that character. But the end was really good too. So I like a lot of where this is going. But again, I hope that he could close this up where it doesn't draw out and he can stick a landing. And that would be really nice. We can get a really compact 6-issue, feature-length Batman story that's interesting all the way to the end and doesn't lose interest or be disappointing with the final reveal. But anyway, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think. What are you guys collecting? Do you agree with my order or not? I know some of you guys haven't even been collecting Neverwheres or whatever else. But remember, give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can't subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there. Check out my stuff on Amazon, and definitely if you haven't jumped into Fairy Tales of Terror, now is your time. Go to fairytalesofterror.com or just click the link below and reserve your copy, because a lot of the covers are not going to be continued after this campaign is over. All right, thanks again, and you guys have an awesome week.